The year is 2015, the setting Stratford Magistrates Court, East London. Mr. X, a man thrust into a legal battle, breathes a sigh of relief. He's just been acquitted by not one but 3 magistrates. Justice has prevailed. Or so he thought. The charges against him are serious, but the details remain shrouded in secrecy. What matters is the verdict, not guilty. His name should be cleared. He should be free to rebuild his life. But the ordeal is far from over. Instead of closure, Mr. X faces a new nightmare. The very institution tasked with upholding the law, the Metropolitan Police, continues to pursue him. Despite the court's decision, they threaten him with arrest. This is where our story begins. This is the story of Mr. X's decade-long struggle for justice against a system seemingly resistant to accountability. The Metropolitan Police, like many law enforcement agencies, has an internal watchdog, the Directorate of Professional Standards, or DPS. Its purpose is to investigate complaints against officers and ensure accountability within the force. On paper, it's a vital mechanism for maintaining public trust. In reality, for Mr. X, it becomes another layer of his ordeal. The DPS operates under a cloud of controversy. Critics argue that its internal structure fosters a culture of self-protection rather than genuine accountability. Complaints against officers are investigated by their own colleagues, raising concerns about impartiality and transparency. For Mr. X, the DPS represents a labyrinthine bureaucracy. He files his first complaint in 2015, detailing the threats he received despite his acquittal. He trusts the system to deliver justice. This trust will be sorely tested. 2015 marks the beginning of a long and frustrating battle. Mr. X's initial complaint, filed under case number PC 02844715, is quickly withdrawn. Undeterred, he files another, PC 05575815, which is converted to key W02089115. A non-recorded complaint. The details of these dismissals remain unclear, adding to Mr. X's frustration. 2 years pass. In 2017, armed with hope and determination, Mr. X files yet another complaint, key W0125617. Again, it is deemed non-recorded. His efforts to seek redress for what he believes is clear misconduct are met with silence and bureaucratic dead ends. The years drag on, 2019, 2024, each marked by a new complaint filed, each met with the same disheartening outcome. ING 34119 is dismissed, his right of appeal left unexercised. His latest attempt in 2024, PC 09917/24, is closed on January 10, 2025, branded as abuse of process. A decade has passed since his acquittal, 10 years of complaints, appeals and dismissals. Mr. X's fight for justice has become a Kafkaesque nightmare, his faith in the system shaken to its core. Mr. X's experience raises disturbing questions about the efficacy and impartiality of the DPS. The repeated dismissals of his complaints, often without clear explanation, fuel concerns about a system designed to protect its own. Critics argue that the DPS's internal structure creates an inherent conflict of interest. Officers investigating their colleagues are unlikely to risk their careers by exposing misconduct. This creates a culture of silence and impunity where wrongdoing is swept under the rug. Furthermore, the lack of transparency in the DPS's operations raises serious concerns. The reasons behind the dismissal of Mr. X's complaints remain opaque, making it impossible to assess the fairness and thoroughness of the investigations. This lack of accountability further erodes public trust and fuels suspicions of a cover-up. Section 5. The human cost of injustice. Mr. X's decade of distress. Beyond the legal complexities, Mr. X's story is one of human resilience and despair. Imagine the emotional toll of fighting for a decade, of being repeatedly dismissed and ignored by the very system that should protect you. The constant stress, the uncertainty, and the feeling of powerlessness take their toll. Mr. X's life has been put on hold, his reputation tarnished by the cloud of suspicion that lingers despite his acquittal. The financial burden of legal battles, the emotional strain of battling an unyielding system, these are wounds that run deep. Mr. X's story is a stark reminder that justice delayed is often justice denied. The human cost of police corruption and misconduct extends far beyond the individuals directly affected. It erodes public trust, undermines the rule of law, and leaves a lasting scar on the fabric of society. Section 6. Echoes of Corruption, the case of Mohammed Al-Fayed. Sadly, Mr. X's experience is not an isolated incident. The Metropolitan Police has been plagued by allegations of corruption and misconduct for decades. One case that stands out is that of Mohammed Al-Fayed, the former owner of Harrods. In 1994, allegations surfaced that corrupt officers had assisted Fayed in persecuting his staff, including a young woman who had rejected his advances. Officers were accused of accepting bribes, cash, hampers, mobile phones, even suits from Harrods, in exchange for their complicity. The allegations against Fayed paint a chilling picture of power abused and justice denied. They echo Mr. X's experience, highlighting a disturbing pattern of misconduct within the Metropolitan Police. Section 7. The Unravelling Covenant Eroding Trust in the Metropolitan Police. These cases, along with countless others, have chipped away at the public's trust in the Metropolitan Police. The once sacrosanct image of the Bobby on the beat has been tarnished by revelations of corruption, brutality, and cover-ups. A 2024 survey revealed a stark decline in public confidence in the police, with many citizens expressing concerns about racial bias, excessive use of force, and a lack of accountability. This erosion of trust has far-reaching consequences, making it more difficult for the police to do their jobs effectively and undermining the very foundations of a just and equitable society. Section 8. A crisis of accountability from London to Denver, the need for reform. The need for comprehensive police reform is no longer a matter of debate. It is an urgent necessity. From London to Denver, cities across the globe are grappling with the challenge of building more accountable and trustworthy law enforcement agencies. In Denver, a task force established to reimagine policing has proposed a range of reforms, including shifting resources away from traditional law enforcement towards community-based initiatives, increasing transparency and accountability, and implementing stricter use of force policies. These efforts, while promising, face significant challenges. Police unions often resist change, and entrenched cultures of silence and impunity can be difficult to dismantle. However, the urgency of the situation demands bold action. Section 9. Justice delayed, justice denied. Mr. X's unfinished battle. Mr. X's 10-year battle for justice continues. Despite the repeated dismissals of his complaints, he remains determined to hold the Metropolitan Police accountable for what he believes is a gross miscarriage of justice. His case highlights the urgent need for systemic change, for a system that is truly transparent, accountable, and committed to serving and protecting all citizens. As of today, January 30th, 2025, Mr. X's fight remains unresolved. His story serves as a stark reminder that the pursuit of justice is often a long and arduous journey, fraught with obstacles and setbacks, but it is a journey that must be taken for the sake of Mr. X, for the integrity of the justice system, and for the very soul of a society that claims to value fairness and equality.